I chose to do my place narrative project on Dalkeith Palace. My connection to Dalkeith is I actually grew up here. My parents were both professors, and so my dad applied to be a study abroad coordinator, and he was the on-site manager for Dalkeith Palace from when I was ages 5 to 6, and then we came back to the United States, and then again from ages 10 through 12. So I was there for about 5 years in total, with my parents both working there. It was pretty easy for us because my dad, or we all have Irish citizenship, which allows us to stay in the United Kingdom, or Scotland specifically, without having to, apply for work visas. A bit about history of Dalkeith Palace. It was originally built in 1711 for Anna Scott, who was the first Duchess of Buccleuch. And then it was last used right before World War I in about 1913 by the family. So the Buccleuch family, the people who owned the estate, they were naturally, extremely wealthy. So they would hunt on the grounds, and it was originally the Duke of Buccleuch. He originally brought on a bunch of deer to kind of have on the grounds for hunting. And while in some considerations this could be classified as living from, the definition defined by O'Neill, Holland, and Light, but due to them not really actually needing the deer as a source of food, it was solely for the source of sport. I don't think this would fully classify as that. But, however, I am going to consider that the house itself would classify as O'Neill's definition of inn, living in an environment with it, because the house is extremely old and has been in the possession of the Buccleuch family for so long. It's now under operation of the Buccleuch Living Heritage Trust. So I think it definitely has significant value because it holds so many memories for people. So for the Buccleuch family from, 1711 up until when it was last used in 1913. But even past that, for individuals who have lived there, myself included, I think it holds a lot of worth to all those individuals. Therefore, I think it qualifies as living, quote-unquote, in. I wanted to briefly talk about the Montague Bridge, which was built in 1792 by Henry, who was the third Duke of Buccleuch, because it also kind of qualifies as a living in, because it's the progression of architecture and the building and establishing more and more value to this site. In the photo I captured, the picture on the left was one I captured when I was rather young. I think I was about 11 on a digital camera, and it didn't usually snow, so it was just kind of fun to see it dusted in all of this snow. And then on the right, this is an official picture that I just looked up, but I felt that it gave a bit more of perspective of the castle grounds. So that's the far right side of the building that you see on there, and then there's that large hill that dips down into the platform that you can actually the large field that you can actually see in the left-hand side. But this particular building partially allowed this site, Dalkeith Palace and the grounds, to become a site of special scientific interest, or an SSI. This is basically a recognition from from the UK, United Kingdom, that this place holds worth or value in a historical or architectural or agricultural setting. Going off of a little bit off of that, continuing with the SSI, we get to ancient forests, which the Dalkeith Palace grounds have a wide collection of oak forests, which are specifically by themselves also an SSI, this is partially due to the age of some of these trees. Some of them date back to 900 years ago, which is honestly extremely impressive, and some of the oak trees that are currently there are specifically seeded from older trees that date back to the original Caledonian forest, which is Scotland's largest and oldest forest, which cropped up right after their last ice age, which is estimated to be about 11 or 13,000 years ago. So these are incredibly, incredibly old trees. This land in and of itself is a demonstration of how the parks are growing with the land and maintaining it by protecting it through an SSI. So that kind of touches upon the width factor, the width definition that O'Neill, Holland, and Light defined originally. And then lastly, transformation, how the park is currently doing, what their current income is, or revenue is mainly coming from their Fort Douglas Park system. So this was originally set up in 2016. It's this giant children's park, and in my opinion, I think playgrounds in Europe are significantly better than the ones in the United States, because in the background picture of transformations you can see that it's all made up of wood and wicker, which I think gives it a very natural and beautiful sense to it all. But you have to pay to get into this very elaborate children's park. There's zip lining in it and a lot of other fascinations that draw children to it. But there's also a restoration part to the grounds. The old stables were transformed into a collection of shops and restaurants where you can go to have tea. It's where I went to have tea the last time I visited, which was this past spring. So that's one of the main revenues that they get their income from, and how they are continuing to support the palace as well as support the grounds and the maintenance of it all. That is actually all for my slides, but thank you.